Hello and welcome to the fourth season of What's in a Story. And a big thanks to all the listeners, as it's all because of you that this podcast enters into its second year. I am Lopamudra Moitro, and in my podcast, I read the stories from my books as an anthropologist, writer, and translator working with popular culture and heritage of India and South Asia. And I introduce each story with some additional information from different fields of history, archaeology, geology, and others, which helps to bring a context to the story. I would like to add here that understanding this context is supremely important, as most of these stories from folklore took shape across several centuries and over a vast period of time. Many features were added to the narratives in this time period. Thus, before taking these stories as historical proof, one should be careful enough to understand the historical context as well as socio-cultural, religious, political context of the stories mentioned within each story. Across the last year, at most unusual places, it was nice to have met people coming up to me and speaking about the many stories that I have narrated across the last 1 year, and how they really like the stories as well as the books, my books from which I read them. The experience has not only been enriching but also greatly rewarding. I never thought it would be reaching out to so many people around the world what began as a small individual effort in last year May in 2025. Presently, and thanks to all the listeners, this podcast reaches across 11 countries of the world, and according to the present available listeners data, this includes a part from India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Germany, UK, Russia, Austria, Brazil, Singapore, Poland, and the USA. This in itself is a huge achievement, and I sincerely thank each and every listener from the core of my heart. Now, a little bit about the fourth season. In this season, I would like to share some very interesting narratives that I came across about teachers. And by that, I would like to travel outside the domains of school walls and explore a larger area where a person, of course, who teaches in an educational institution is, of course, a teacher, but also one who motivates, encourages, helps to organize your random thoughts, mentors you in difficult times, or simply inspires you to move ahead in spite of all adversities. A teacher thus transgresses any narrow definition and encompasses all of these and perhaps a lot more. While collecting these stories, each experience has been deeply heartening, and as we begin the second year of this podcast, this is a dedication to the many unsung heroes of our lives, the teachers. About the story. The title of today's story is The Hare-Shaped Mark on the Surface of the Moon, and this is a story from the Jatakas. I read this story from my book How the World Was Born, Wondrous Indian Myths and Legends by Aleph Book Company. When we speak about a teacher, also as a guide, speaking about life's choices, the paths to take when in a dilemma, the Jataka stories often highlight these very important parts of life, where the Buddha is the teacher and the stories are presented in a manner that they are being narrated by him. This story of the hair-shaped mark on the surface of the moon is a story from the Sasa Jataka. Animals and plants are variously represented in the Jataka stories, and they form vital parts of each one of them. All the Jataka stories are also intrinsically related to nature. This specific story is an important example of the same. The Jataka stories follow the belief that the Buddha, he attained enlightenment as a result of good deeds done in numerous earlier births across several centuries. In the rebirths, after he became conscious of his mission, he is spoken of as a Bodhisattva, that is a Buddha elect, and the story of Bodhisattva's births are narrated in the Jataka tales. In the present story, the hare is represented as the Bodhisattva. Follows the story, the hair-shaped mark on the surface of the moon, from my book, How the World Was Born, Wondrous Indian Myths and Legends. The story. Long ago, when King Brahmadatta sat on the throne of Benares, also known as Varanasi, in northern India, the Bodhisattva came to life as a hare in a forest. He had 3 very close friends: an otter, a monkey, and a jackal. The little forest where all of them lived was surrounded on one side by the foot of a mountain, on another side there was a river, and on the third side there was a border village. The hare was unanimously elected as the leader of the group because all the friends considered him the wisest of all, and also thought that he had a divine persona. The wise hare taught his friends the way of admonition and preached about truthfulness. He taught them that alms are to be given. He also spoke about moral laws and about the holy days which are to be observed from time to time. These friends accepted his preaching and went to their respective homes in different parts of the jungles, and thus continued their life. One day, the Bodhisattva, by looking at the sky, understood that the following day was to be a day of fasting. Thus, he summoned all his 3 friends and said, "Tomorrow is a day of fasting. We should observe the holy day and give alms to the poor and food from our own table to any beggar who comes by." So all the 3 friends listened carefully, nodded their heads, and went back to their own dwellings. The next day came, and on this day of fasting, a fisherman had caught 7 red fishes from the river Ganga nearby. He stringed the 7 fishes, buried them in the sand, and went back to catch some more. At that time, the otter was out searching for food. He came upon the 7 red fishes, dug them out, and shouted out loudly, "Do these fishes belong to anybody?" The words did not reach the fisherman, and no one answered as well. The otter waited for some time, and when no one came to claim the fishes, he understood that he could take the fishes with him without any hesitation. So, the otter brought the fishes home. Then suddenly he remembered that, it was the day of fasting. Thus, the otter decided to keep the fishes away and eat it only the next day. The otter felt happy that he could control his greed and considered himself to be very virtuous. On the same day, the jackal was out roaming as well. He came upon a hut in a field within which there was a large piece of roasted meat and a pot of curd. The jackal also spoke out loudly 3 times, "Do these belong to anybody?" However, he did not receive any reply. Relieved, the jackal took the delicacies, that is the meat and the pot of curd, with him to his home, only to realize later that, this was the day of fasting. So the jackal kept the food aside for the next day. In a similar manner, the monkey, who was also wandering about, happened to come across some mangoes, and on realizing that they belonged to no one, he brought them home, only to later realize that it was the day of fasting. So he too kept them aside for the next day. On the very same day, the hare, while sitting on kusha grass on which he used to feed, thought of all the people who might be hungry and starving. He wondered, "What will I offer if anybody came begging for food from me? Will I offer this kusha grass? I cannot offer him this, and I have no rice or oil. I think I will offer him my own flesh to eat." As soon as the Bodhisattva thought about this, the throne of Shakra grew hot and started to shake. This always happened when a great event was planned or was taking place on earth. Shakra wanted to know why his throne became hot and looked down at the hare. He knew about the pious thoughts of the hare and wanted to test his sincerity. So, Shakra assumed the form of a Brahman priest and descended on earth. He went to each of the animals and asked for food. First, he went to the otter and asked for food, and the otter replied, "I have brought 7 red fishes from the banks of the Ganga. O Brahman, please eat these and stay within the woods." Shakra, disguised as the Brahman priest, replied, "Keep it till tomorrow, and I will see if I want to eat it." Next, Shakra went to the jackal and asked for some food, and the jackal replied, I have a pot of curd and a piece of meat. This is my evening's meal. O Brahman, please eat these and stay with us for a while in these woods. The Brahman once again replied, Let it wait till tomorrow, and I will see if I want to eat it. The same incident happened with the monkey as well, and the Brahman, that is Shakra, replied that he will wait until the next day, and he moved on. Finally, Shakra reached the hare and asked for food. The hare realized that he had nothing to give and thus offered himself instead and asked the Brahman to set up a fire. Shakra, still in disguise and still wanting to test the hare, set up a few live charcoals and informed the hare. The little hare got up from the kusha grass on which he was sitting. He shook himself a few times to free himself of any insect which might be alive and residing in his fur, lest they too die in the fire. Then the hare sprang up in the air like a swan and jumped right into the live charcoal. But the flames, they did not even touch the fur on his body. The flames of the fire had simply turned icy cold. The hare looked at the Brahman and said, O Brahman, this fire has turned cold, and it fails to heat up even the slightest hair of my body. Then the Brahman replied, O hare, I am no Brahman, I am Shakra, and I came to test your virtue. To this the hare replied, O Shakra, if it was not a Brahman, but any other person, I would have still not made him return empty-handed. Then Shakra replied, O wise hare, I know your virtue, and it should be known throughout the land. And saying this, he squeezed the nearby mountain, and with the juice thus extracted, drew the sign of the hare on the surface of the moon. After this, Shakra made the Bodhisattva return to his abode of kusha grass, and he lived harmoniously with his 3 friends in the forest, observing holy days, fasts, and fulfilling the moral law. Thus, there is a hair mark on the moon, and if you look careful enough, you will see the marks on the surface of the moon. Thus, according to folklore, according to the Jatakas, marks on the moon is thus explained to resemble a hare